What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Fantasy Alarm live stream here on Tuesday afternoon. I'm Adam Ronis along with Jen Piacenti. Jen, what's going on? A lot going on in the world of sports right now.
A lot going on. It's an exciting morning. Lots of debates, lots of news out of NFL training camp. Just like, hey, sports is back. It's so awesome.
Yeah, man, it really is. I've just been busy all day, every day. NBA playoffs kicking off 1:30 Eastern time. So you got those games on all day. Baseball, switching over to watch some NHL playoffs, trying to take a glimpse at some of the training camp on the NFL Network. So, yeah, it is definitely a busy time. But a lot of talk today, it has to do with baseball. And unfortunately, I know we're both huge fans of baseball, but it feels like we have so many negative things that go on, especially when it comes to ownership and management. And the big story from last night was Fernando Tatis Jr., who, first of all, this guy has been an absolute stud. And it's funny because I wanted him in my drafts this year. In fact, I think when I did the rankings, and I have to double check, but I'm pretty sure I had him 1 at shortstop because I looked at it and said it's a 2-month season. Some of the concerns about him going into the year were, the batting average of balls in play last year was .410. The strikeout rate was 30%. But the guy had 22 homers and 16 steals in 84 games. So I said, in a short season, I'm going to put him 1 at shortstop. Now, I only did the one auction that we were in together after, and I think I was in on the bidding, but I didn't get him. But I drafted him in one league back in March. I had the 13th pick overall in a 15-team league. When Jose Ramirez came back with Tatis Jr., thank God I did, because it is so fun to have him on a fantasy team. And we could talk about him. But the big thing with him is yesterday, 8th inning, Padres are up by 7. Tatis Jr. is up with the bases loaded, already homered once in the game. And on a 3-0 pitch, he swung and hit a grand slam. And Chris Woodward, the manager of the Rangers, was outraged. They hit the next batter. Even his own manager, Tatis, came out and did not defend him. I mean, I think it's ridiculous. But let's get your opinion, and then I'll give mine.
I think it's ridiculous, too. First of all, most importantly, that his own manager didn't back his play. That's what really infuriates me. Whatever the Rangers, they're sour grapes. They stink. They've never been good. I'm not a Rangers fan, even though I grew up going to Rangers games, which is probably why I'm not a fan. But really that his own manager didn't come out in support of him. And I understand what they're saying, that this is the way the game has always been played. And the manager says that he gave the signal, do not swing, that you take. This is tradition. You take that pitch on a 3-0 when you're up with that big of a lead. But let's review a couple of things. First of all, is there ever that big of a lead in baseball? That's the point of baseball. There is no clock. There is no lead that's big enough. Number 2, you're talking about a guy that's locked in at the plate. And when he sees a chance to win, you really think he's going to stop and not hit that ball? And number 3, do you want a guy on your team who sees a ball that he can hit and grand slam that won't hit it? Why would you want that? Don't you want baseball to be exciting? Don't we say let the kids play? Don't we want to be talking about it? And what really infuriates me the most is that then later Tatis had to get on TV and basically give an apology for being a winner. Soft. It's soft. And like in NFL, like, would this happen? Would you have someone go like, I'm sorry, yeah, we had a big lead. I shouldn't have, chunked that ball into the end zone. That was bad of me. Like, you don't do it. Like, you want winners. We want winners. We want the game to be exciting. And you can look at an article I wrote back in March. I had the same opinion as you, Adam. I said, in a long season, I don't know that Fernando Tatis Jr. can sustain this because his home run to fly ball ratio is just like not sustainable. But in a short season, this is only 60 games. He's shown sustained production over that time. And to watch him defend as well as at the plate is so exciting. When you live on the East Coast, what you want to do is stay up late and watch Fernando Tatis Jr. play baseball. That's why we do it. That's the joy. So it absolutely is ridiculous. It makes the Rangers look ridiculous. And honestly, I can't believe his own team isn't coming out and supporting him.
Yeah, I find it appalling as well. Look, no lead is safe now with the ball flying out of the park the way they do. We've seen it last week. The Diamondbacks scored 5 runs in the 9th inning. I remember a game last year, a critical game for the Mets against the Nationals. They were up 10-4 in the 9th. They lost. Kurt Suzuki hit a walk-off home run. So you can tell me, it's 7 runs. But we've seen these leads evaporate very quickly. And the other problem I have with it is If he had a ground ball and it went for a double play and he didn't hustle, he would have gotten ripped. So you can't have it both ways. And Tatis is one of the most exciting young players in baseball who should be marketed, and we should be celebrating him. And for him to have to sit there and apologize is just a complete joke. I mean, this guy's off to a tremendous start again. 305, 383 OBP, 726 slugging, 11 homers, 28 RBIs, 22 runs, 5 stolen bases in 24 games. You talked about his defense. He hustles, he plays hard, which obviously could lead to some injuries. He had a couple of injuries last year. We don't, Byron Buxton, I mean, he's gotten hurt because of it, crashing into walls. But I like guys that play that way, that go out and give it the ball. He should not have to apologize. And it's just this old school baseball mentality that just has to go. No need is safe. I mean, this is not Little League. This is not, amateur sports. This is MLB, professional. Guys are getting paid. You don't want him to hit a home run or swing, get the outs. Don't put the guys on base. Don't put yourself in a position where you're down 7. And if I'm on the other side, I'm not going to be mad. I'll give him credit. So I just thought the outrage on this too. And it feels like most people have this take. There are very few people that I have seen defending Tatis being wrong. Almost everyone's on his side. And your guy, Trevor Bauer, I don't know if you saw his tweet. You agree with that one today.
I had to agree with Trevor Bauer. I was going to bring that up.
Did you like the tweet?
No, I can't like the tweet. I can't officially like it. I can tell you. Okay, I'll even go like the tweet because Trevor Bauer's a pitcher. And he's like, you know what? You're going to hit it. Hit it. You know what? Play better if you're that pitcher. Just play better. How about you hit a ball that he can't hit? How about you pitch him a little bit more on the fringe? I don't know. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, the whole thing. Again, Fernando Tatis Jr. is so exciting to watch. And I just don't think we should take the light out. This is exactly what will kill baseball if we don't keep it young and fresh. And it's even more important that you don't take any lead for granted in a 60-game season. Every game counts.
That's an excellent point, too. You're right, because maybe in 162 games, it kind of gets overlooked. But every single game is important right now. It really is, which is why it's frustrating as a Met fan because they suck right now. But that's another story. I'm trying to remember. Do you remember how much Tatis went for in our auction offhand? I'm very curious.
I don't. I know who owns it because I immediately checked this morning to see if it was you. Yes, because you're getting quite a lead. And I wanted to make sure I wasn't chasing Fernando Tatis. I know you lost Bichette this week.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Sorry.
Bichette is an absolute killer because the speed, and that was bad. Tatis went for $31. Wow. And next year, I
think he's vying for, that up there with Christian Yelich. I think it'll be Trout, Tatis. I mean, right now Tatis leads the league in home runs with 11 and RBI. So he's now surpassed Trout. It was Judge, then it was briefly Trout, and now it's Tatis already because last night he absolutely put it away.
He's going to be in the discussion for the number 1 overall pick.
He is.
I mean, Trout obviously made. I don't know people who passed on Trout. I don't think they made a mistake. See, I was never under the impression that Trout was going to sit. I was worried what were the protocols going to be, and we knew he was going to leave for the birth of his child, but I was unsure if he would miss a week or two. Like I didn't think the protocols were going to allow him to come back like 3-4 days later with the testing. So that's why I backed off. In our auction, I know he went for 42. I have Trout in labor in my home league, so I'm glad. But I don't think people made a mistake in that NFBC Super League where I was in New York to call out the picks. Trout went number 14th overall, and this was a $2,500 buy-in.
Wow.
This was a $2,500 buy-in the Saturday before the season started. So I don't know. I don't think people made a mistake. I think people were just unsure how much time he would miss. And if you miss 2 weeks, even
that's a lot.
Trout, it does, push him down a little bit.
Yeah. But, I mean, I think the people that took that gamble and said, hey, I'd rather have 80% of Mike Trout than 100% of almost any other player, good for them, Spent $42. That's $42 well spent.
And that was a discount already because bets went for like $49. So he went at a discount.
Yeah.
And he's obviously paying it off. He's homering every single day.
Obviously, he's got dad power.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So, Tatis. Oh, by the way, it looks like the pitcher Ian Gabot, who threw at Machado, is going to get suspended.
Good. And by the way, it's really, really hot in California right now. So any games being played in California
for throwing at Machado, and Chris Woodward, the manager, gets a 1-game suspension.
Okay. There you go.
All right. Well, let's take a look at some other players in baseball right now who are either doing really well or struggling. Anthony Santander. And I like this guy a lot going into the year. I got him in my home league auction. I picked him up in labor off the waiver wire. It's a 12-team league about a couple weeks ago. The Orioles have been one of the more surprising teams. Santander had 20 home runs last year in 93 games, batted .261. Right. He's off to another good start, hitting .281, 7 homers, 22 RBIs, 18 runs through 22 games. Are you buying Anthony Santander?
I am buying Anthony Santander. And if you are in a 12-team league or bigger, it's time to go ahead and get him if he's available. And certainly in DFS. The guy has the power. He has a .935 on base plus slugging and only 85 at bats. This is something that you can't just leave out there on the wire.
Yeah, I agree. He's been really good. Someone who has not been good, Chris Davis. Not from the Orioles, but Chris Davis with a K.
Well, both have not been good, to be fair.
What? Oh, well, but we don't talk about him in fantasy. You know, he's kind of at the bottom. We used to always have.
No. I had a partner
both this year
that forced me to take Chris Davis in this thing. He forced me. I said, no, I'm not wasting this pick. He said, you have to. I said, I'll do it for you. One of my partners in one of my auction leagues that we drafted in March.
The Chris Davis from Oakland?
No.
Oh, from
Chris
Baltimore?
Davis from Baltimore.
I was going to say. But Chris Davis in Oakland, look, I thought last year was all injury. I thought he was going to bounce back. I have him in one league. It's a weekly league. He's on my bench this week. I mean, he's losing playing time. He's played in 14 games. He has 55 plate appearances. He's got 1 homer and 6 RBIs. His value is all power. We know that he hit .247 4 straight years in a row, hit .220 last year. But should you worry about Chris Davis, or do you stay patient with him?
Yeah, I think you do worry at this point because there's just not a lot of time to make up for how much damage he's doing to your batting average. And especially if you're in a weekly league, you just can't wait. The Oakland A's, I think, have the 2nd most strikeouts in the entire league. They're a strikeout team. If they're not giving you the power, they're kind of worthless to you. Now, the exciting thing about this is it has opened up opportunities, that and the Laureano suspension, for Robbie Grossman, who's someone that has been producing. He's batting .300 on this season, 4 home runs, 4 stolen bases in just 18 games. This is a guy that I think has actually had a lot of underlying tools that are really exciting, and I've wanted to see him succeed. And it seems like in this short span, he may be able to put together the kind of season that makes him really valuable, kind of an A.J. Pollock-like comp.
Yeah, Grossman is definitely someone. I had him in my home league last week. He was available in our GDD league, and at first I put a small bid on him, and then I backed it down because I don't really need an outfielder. I really need middle infielder, losing Bichette, so I had to put the preference on the middle infielder, but I would have liked to have Grossman. But the outfield for me, at least for now, it could change, tomorrow with injuries. Right now, the outfield is pretty strong for me.
I did bid on him, but I lost. I lost by $2.
Yeah, he definitely should have been added. Look, he's getting more playing time now. I mean, at the expense of Chris Davis. He's a guy that always is patient at the plate, draws walks, certainly a boost in OBP. He's got 4 stolen bases. He had 9 last year. And you have to ride out, even if it's just a hot streak, you have to ride it out in this short season.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You don't have time. I mean, we're halfway through, guys, so there's no time. There's no time for Chris Davis right now.
Someone who has been on fire and has gotten an opportunity with Yoenis Cespedes opting out is Dominic Smith, who is on a tear right now. He's got 6 homers, 18 RBIs, batting .310 with a .391 OBP. And I forgot what day Cespedes opted out, but I immediately put in a claim for Dominic Smith in Tout Wars and got him. Unfortunately, I fell short in every other league. Now I'm regretting that. Dominic Smith, to me, is a guy that kind of just needed the opportunity. We saw flashes from him last year. He's got first outfield eligibility in a lot of leagues. You buying Dominic Smith?
I'm buying it, at least for the short season. He's batting cleanup right now. why not? I mean, I agree. I think if this is a situation where he just didn't have the opportunity, and as you mentioned, the dual eligibility allows you to play him lots of different places. And anytime a guy qualifies in infield and outfield, I really give those guys an extra bump as far as draft priority and waiver wire budget priority, because it gives me so many more options, especially in a season with COVID-19 where you never know, like if the Reds game's going to be canceled, you wake up and it's canceled. There's no Royals today all of a sudden. Well, I can just move that guy in. So, and right now he's hot, so I wouldn't take him out of my lineup at all.
Did you put any of your Reds in weekly lineups this week?
No, I didn't.
You did? I did. In labor. Well, I guess, no, I can't. Well, they didn't play a game. I could probably take him out, but I think my bench guys already played. I left Castellanos in.
It's hard not to.
Yeah, they're supposed to play a doubleheader tomorrow, so fingers crossed that they actually do. Nick Senzel, though, I left out. I put Alex Verdugo in over him, and Verdugo's been playing pretty well.
Verdugo's been good. I like Verdugo. I have a couple shares of him, and I'm pleased with that acquisition. He wasn't expensive. Someone
that you watch a lot who has really struggled, and I don't know if it's the absence of garbage cans or not, but Jose Altuve. 176, 3 homers, 10 RBIs, 2 steals. So it's not terrible.
It's not
Striking
terrible.
rate is up. Is this just a slump here? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't see every Astros games, but what have you seen from him? Is he pressing? Is it bad luck? Because the hard rate is similar to last year.
Over the last week, it's been bad luck. He's hit a lot of balls really well, but right at somebody. So over the last week, it's been bad luck. Before that, the thing with Altuve is, and a lot of people like to look at Altuve and be, look, he's swinging everywhere and he can't hit. He's always done that. He's a hacker. He swings at everything. He is not patient. I don't ever know how he ever hit 300, and it's not because of trash cans. The guy swings literally at every single pitch. If you watch him, it's really crazy to watch and kind of uncomfortable. But yeah, I think he's just in a slump now. He's never had a slump to open a season like this before. I don't think it's health. He did go to Dusty Baker and said, please move me down in the lineup. So he's been batting 7th. And the Astros have won, I believe, 5 in a row now since then. The good news is Altuve has actually stolen 2 bases, which we didn't think maybe he would be running. So you are still getting some value for him. And I think you should be careful to sell low on Jose Altuve, because I just don't think he can stay this low that long. So be careful that you don't sell too low on Jose Altuve right now.
So you would send offers for him at a discount right now. You would try and trade for him.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And it might be possible. Again, this is what you have to do. You look at you search Jose Altuve, see who owns him. If that owner's like 11th, 12th, 13th near the bottom, they're going to want to make a change. Even in a regular season, there's some owners that just feel like they have to shake things up, and they'll stare at Altuve's numbers and be like, you know what, I got to move him. And now in a short season, if they're at the bottom of the standings, that's a good time to pounce, take advantage. So if the trade, I'm assuming most trade deadlines for leagues are like September 1st. I think mine.
I think so too.
31st.
I think so too. And I think that, his numbers aren't that dissimilar from Christian Yelich's. I mean, Yelich has a few more RBI, but it's kind of like you're getting really frustrated. I'm a Yelich owner. It is really frustrating. But Yelich I took in the first round. Altuve I took, say, in the 3rd round. So I think that you have a chance of getting Altuve cheaply.
Yeah, I think you just write it out with a lot of these studs. I have Yelich in several leagues, and I just try not to look at the numbers. And
me too.
Just, he did homer a couple days ago, so just roll with him. Let's talk some football. We're getting a lot of headlines now out of training camp, and one of the ones that caught my eye is A.J. Green dealing with a hamstring injury already. And A.J. Green, to me, is one of the more polarizing players in fantasy, because I feel like there are certain people who go, man, there's upside for A.J. Green's 5th, 6th round. He's got Joe Burrow at quarterback. It's a good offense. And then you got the people on the other side who are like, look, this guy's 32 years old. He's missed a ton of games over the last few years. Last year didn't play the entire year. Played 9 games the year before. Played the full 16 in 2017. Sat out 6 games in 2016. So we see the trend here. Missed a lot of games. When he has been on the field, he's been really good. Where have you been on A.J. Green, and does this news change where you rank him or where you're willing to take him?
So I've been out on A.J. Green, and not because I don't think he's brilliantly talented. I do. I just don't trust it for all the reasons you say. He's 32 years old. He's missed 29 of a possible 64 games he could have played in the last 4 seasons. The fact that it's a hamstring injury. So what he had last year was ankle issues, and then he was supposedly healed and going to come back, and they decided not to use him. I don't blame him for that. Blame the Bengals for that. Like, they weren't going to win. Like, handle him with kid gloves, fine. But here we are already handling with kid gloves. I think his chance for re-injury is so high that I just don't want to take him. I suppose the more he fell, the more likely I would be able to take him, because in that case, it's like similar to like, hey, are you going to take Des Bryant? Are you going to take Antonio Brown? Are you going to take any of these people that are long shots? But I don't know that he'll fall far enough to make it worth it for me to pass up on someone in a similar round like a Calvin Ridley or a Michael Gallup. It just depends on where he goes.
Yeah, I love AJ Green, the player, but I just can't find myself to take him in a draft. I have not taken him once, and I've done at least 12 best ball drafts, like maybe 5 redraft leagues. When we did the FSGA prop draft, Howard Bender and I, we were both agreed on the under for yards and touchdowns for AJ Green. We took one of them in the draft. I can't remember which one we took. I think we took the under yards, but it's just hard to have confidence in this guy staying healthy. I've always said it, players as they get older, they do not get better health. Maybe there's a few exceptions, but for the most part, especially in this sport, it doesn't happen. And he talked about how he was training in the offseason to avoid these injuries. And here we go already. Look, it's early. It happens. You don't play for a long time. You get this tightness. It could be nothing, but it's definitely an alarming sign for a player that we need to see health out of earlier in the year. People got burned by him last year, drafting him thinking, oh, he'll be back early in the season, and he never came back. And part of that was, obviously, they had nothing to play for, and he wanted a contract, so there was no need for him to risk it. But, yeah, there's definitely concern for me. I don't like hearing this because now it will push down his ADP, and it's going to push possibly players I like up the board. So I don't like hearing this news. I don't like when players I want get pushed up the board, and AJ Green is going to fall based on this news, at least a few spots. But I feel like there's always 2, 3, 4 people in a league who just have the injury optimism and be like, yeah, AJ Green in the 6th, the 7th. What am I losing? I'll take a shot. And then they're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, see, to me, I would rather take James Conner in the 3rd or 4th. I know he's an injury risk, but I would rather take a running back that's an injury risk, even though I know they get easily injured. But there's so many fewer of them. There are so many wide receivers that you could get. Like you said, guys that we like that are going to now get pushed up. That's why I just can't do AJ Green. So I agree with you.
We also got some disheartening news for TJ Hawkinson, the tight end for the Lions. He's been dealing with an ankle issue, and apparently he says it's still bothering him, and he's pushing through it. But I've seen other reports and seen some video where he looks really good making plays, and I've been optimistic on Hawkinson for this year. I actually changed my rankings a little bit, so if you want, go over to fantasyalarm.com, look for rankings, click on my name, and you could see where I have Hawkinson ranked at the tight end position. He is someone that I just took in a draft on Saturday. I think I have him in a couple leagues, so he just said it's not quite 100% after he rehabbed the entire offseason. I think he's in a good spot there in Detroit. Tight ends take some time to develop. We saw he had one big game last year against Arizona because they were the gift that kept giving to tight ends. And then he really didn't do much, but the talent is there. But this is certainly not what you want to hear out of a player this time of year.
Definitely not what you want to hear. I don't like it. I'm not taking any TJ Hawkinson. He kind of burned me last year. I thought he would be much better. So I'm kind of holding a little bit of a grudge. And the fact that he's starting with a weak ankle, I don't like it at all. Maybe really, really late rounds, if he falls, I would take a chance. But otherwise, there's so many other guys that I like better. And it's unfortunate because you're right. Like, I like him with the Lions. I like him with Matt Stafford. I am in Dynasty. Obviously, I'm hanging on to TJ Hawkinson. But in redraft,
Do you hold grudges against guys as well if they don't treat you right the first time?
I'm not sure what you're saying. I don't know.
I'm just saying, do you hold grudges?
Yeah, of course I do. Of course I hold. No, I'm very forgiving, but do not DM me. You know who you are.
Oh.
Just kidding.
I don't want to get into that subject. It's a very touchy subject right now. Damian Harris has been getting a huge workload early in camp for the Patriots. Yeah. Now, we know Sony Michel is out with the foot. Lamar Miller just coming back from the knee injury as well. Are you one of those who say, Patriots running backs, I'm out? Do you like James White in PPR? Where do you stand on the Patriots running backs? Because Damian Harris is cheap. You can get him double-digit rounds right now.
For the most part, I'm out. I would take him in a double-digit round, and I would take James White in double-digit rounds PPR as well. But for the most part, I'm not targeting Patriots running backs. I'm not targeting Patriots, period. Who knows what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. I think I have one Patriot on all my teams so far. That's it. So
who is that? I'm just curious.
It's actually Sony Michel.
Okay. It was an early draft, all right?
It was an early draft. And I thought, well, even we don't know what they're going to do. They have Jared Stidham, blah, 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 even if he misses a few games. And it was a value at the time that I got him. So I thought, well, this is a good value. It still could end up being, but yeah, no more.
Yeah, I think Sony Michel is definitely going to be dropping rapidly. I know he moved down my rankings. And yeah, I haven't invested in the Patriots running. I might have taken Damian Harris in an early best ball. So I would take a shot in the double-digit rounds in case he does carve out a big role. But we have seen this before. Rex Burkhead's still there in the mix as well. But make sure you check us out at fantasyalarm.com. Head there now. We got a ton of great content in the draft kit to help you dominate for your fantasy football drafts. And we're getting close to the season. I think, 23 days away from the start of football. So draft season's heating up. There's going to be a lot of drafts over the next few weekends, and we are here to help you. I update my rankings every single day, so make sure you check it out. Subscribe on YouTube to the Fantasy Alarm page as well. We'll continue to be here all week. Jen, thanks a lot for the time. We'll talk again soon. And again, check us out, fantasyalarm.com, because we're going to help you win and dominate DFS season long, and of course, wageralarm.com as well. We'll see you soon.